Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make your own bezel for your weirdly shaped pieces. Now, I had done a video a little while ago about taking an actual bezel and creating a piece of artwork, a little painting inside it, and then you wear it as a necklace. You can also take those, even if you want to cut off the round part, you can make it as a bracelet or a ring or whatever. It's wearable art is a lot of what I'm going to be focusing on. But Allison asked me about, she was interested in how I make my own bezels because I rarely buy store-bought bezels because they're plain. They're the same. They're square, round, oval. They're standard. And because a lot of the stuff that I do is oblong, or not oblong, wonky, I need to, custom make the stuff. So to get started, I would recommend, if you're learning, is just to use aluminum wire because it is super soft. You need a few tools, but I know that a lot of you, because you're creatives, that you may have this stuff, it may not be in your studio or in your kitchen, but if you raid your hubby's workshop, you might have it in there. I will say that all the tools that are on the table are mine. I bought them with my own money, so Joe can't get mad when something goes missing. I did find a hammer that I have that's in his toolbox that he says, I don't know how that got there. Okay, down to the table. So, first, the wire. So, a wire that you can learn with. I picked it up at Michael's. A great thing to use with with the 40% off coupon, or depending on where you are in the world. It's a flat wire. It's 1 millimeter by 4 millimeter. It is soft, very, very soft. The nice thing about this is that when you're playing with it, it's not so expensive that if you make a boo-boo, you're not going to get all upset, because if you work with sterling silver or gold, it can get pricey. And even now, I don't use sterling silver except for some custom pieces, which I don't like doing because the pressure. Because right now I'm at the point in my life where I just want to relax. But so I thought I bought some of this just to show you how it works. But I do a lot of my stuff with copper. And then some of the wire stuff is silver plated copper. But I do a lot of stuff with copper. So copper and silver is my thing. Then with the copper, if it's too bright, you patina it. So you get something really vintage. So the aluminum, so it is really, really soft. So you might think, well, if this is really soft, like how's it going to hold anything? Well, when you have a piece of aluminum like this that's really big, it is very malleable. But when it gets into something smaller, not so much. Just to show you that I created this ring and I hammered it. So when you hammer this type of, this aluminum, there's something called work hard. It gets hard and it gets a lot stiffer. So it's really nice and stiff. It actually fits quite nicely. And I did just a quick cut on this, but you need to, sand it properly and everything. But look at that pattern. And this is the pattern here. Okay, you see it is a bit wonky, but that's just because I was working it. I want to make sure that what I'm going to be showing you that I've actually tried more than once. Okay, so I've got I think it's called a thingamajig, a wig jig or something. I think it's from Artistic Wire. It's used for forming, and I use that for my more common designs. You don't have to have this. You can also use a ring mandrel. You can use the end of a hammer if you want to make a oval bezel. You can even use a bottle. Anything that has the shape of what you want. So if you're designing your bezel first for your artwork, and then you're going to design it in the shape and you're going to create your artwork based on that, that's fine. But if you have an existing shape you need to work with, let's say you've got an artist trading card that you cut out and you mount it on a piece of masonite and you have that shape, then it takes a little bit more work. For example, so here's a resin piece that is about 50% done, and you can tell it's an oblong shape. Okay, it's a weird, not oblong, wonky. It's a wonky shape. So typically what I would do with these is I would just drill and then put an eyelid in here. But I could also make a band on this. around here, which would look really cool. I would actually hammer it to give it that really nice effect. So this I would have to form around here. So that's a little bit easier. The hard corners, you may need to get your pliers in there to really work that. But, you know, with this is that you can, this is even after hammering, I can still manipulate the piece. And I didn't finish the sides on this because I knew I would be showing you. But then you can just do this. And then now to hammer this, if I want, let's say I had a little shape in the resin piece, I wouldn't use my chasing hammer or my bevel hammer. I would use a rubber, you get the rubber or the nylon, and just lightly hit it to form whatever piece of artwork I'm working with, because I don't want to crack this, but you also, you know, you don't want to do any damage. So, but for this video, I want to show you how to make a typical bezel to hold your artwork. Now, it's going to be an open bezel, which means you can take the piece, fit it on top, fit it on top of something. Then you just basically with a pencil draw. I draw on the outside, and then I trim, because it's always easier to make it smaller. But once you cut too small, then you're screwed. So you can cut it, and then what you do is, whether you use resin or a little bit of glue to fasten it to your piece, but you're going to be containing it, then you can pour a varnish or do whatever. Okay, so with that, I like to, well, you could either hammer it first or form it first. Now for the hammering, you need to wear eye protection. Smart, right? You need to wear ear protection. So whether you use, like I said, you could use, like I formed this around the mandrel, but I need to buy one that doesn't have the groove inside. This is to hold the beads when I do my to hold these pieces. I flatten this out, then I mount my piece on here. But you can take it, and then you can, and then with the chasing hammer to get this pattern, and you can just hammer it. Okay, that hardens the wire. Doing it this way, I have a standard little design here, and I could take, and this thing here, although it's nice and handy, the company that makes it, I'm going to be contacting them because some of the pegs don't fit in all the holes. Defect. So you're just going to, you got to get rid of those pegs too, but you're just going to, you can tell how often I use this. You're just going to form that around. Okay, and I actually should have put that there, and I could have put one there. Nope, that's too high. See, this doesn't even line up. What else? So I'm just going in and fine-tuning, and then from here I could take my nylon. I keep these on here because of you-know-who. And I could just lightly, just to get that in there, because the metal is so soft, you can see this one doesn't fit. But there's the defect piece. It's so soft. Okay, so you can form it around that way. And then, so you can see that the shape that I have, this is straight, so you can see that it picked up that shape. And this one here, the unfortunate thing is that the peg that's in here is too far up, so I can't really, you know, form that to anything. Okay, you don't want to hammer it hard. You just want to get that in there, and take your time with this. I'm going really fast. So there's one piece that you can do, and then I would use, if I'm pouring resin, I would pinch this. I'm prepared. Ooh. I would pinch this. Now, when your aluminum takes every nick, so if I pinch that there, it's might pick up the mark. So you can also use your nylon coated pliers, or put a little bit of fabric through here, or glue some cork. So I would pinch that there, and then for pouring resin, so I would then take this, I could put it on packing tape, and put a little dab of resin in there, let it dry for a few hours so nothing will seep out. But if you're doing it for your artwork, so let's say you're going to put it on that, I would prepare this all now and then cut this to fit inside after the fact. So once you get that pinch, then you could take some 26 gauge wire, really thin, and then you can just wrap it around. Again, I'm working really fast here, so take your time. Take your time when doing this type of thing. And you can get craft wire. You know, you don't have to use the same stuff. And then you can just like put it inside to hide the tail. And then basically you could just wrap that around nice and slow. See, I would be using my magnifier because I can't right now. I can't see the wire. Okay, and then you could form this into whatever. So you can do that type of thing. The other thing that you can do is once you've got that piece is that just to get a general shape, especially if you haven't done this before, just to get a general shape, draw it, cut it, and then let's say you cut your paper too small and then you're screwed. You can then reform this to kind of shape it around whatever it is that you cut. So once you've got it set, I mean, it's pretty stiff, and especially if you're going to be gluing your artwork, cutting your artwork and gluing it, and it'll be, you know, you could cut it where this sits on top, it's going to be strong. It's going to be strong. But what if, let's say, you're working on something like rice paper? Well, you still need to stiffen it up. So a few coats of varnish type of thing, you want to stiffen that up. To further strengthen this, to really hold it, is that you would hammer it to, you know, you can make it look like that. With hammering like this, though, because you've got a shape, you, like the way that I was doing it, I could then turn around and use my, put my stuff away. I could use my little chasing hammer, but the problem is that I don't want to break any of these pins. Then you could take a mandrel, anything. Ideally, even if you have a vise, you know, this is where you go to your hubby's workshop, have a vise and see what he has. But you would take that, and again, ear protection if you're doing a lot of this. You can see how loud that can get. And I'm doing this on camera so you can see, but I would actually position this on my, I've got a foam mat from Grip Tools. It's a really thick, and then just to absorb some of the noise. So then I would just keep turning this just to get a little bit of that pattern, and I can also use the ball end of it to really get a nice pattern in there. And when you're hammering, don't forget, it also makes things a little bit bigger. So before you cut your piece, have this done, have it hammered, shaped, whatever, and then cut your paper, and then you can resize, because you already see that the shape changed a little bit. So I would just continue hammering. Now, if you need to make it bigger, you can use the rubber mallet or the nylon mallet, which won't mark the metal, but I like the look of the metal being marked just for that design. Now, the other thing, let me just, I mean, it's so soft that I can cut it with my flush cutters. If you have a block like this, and that way I can just show you. So from here, so we heard how loud that was. Let's just see how absorbing that is. Oh, Joe just came home. So you can see that hammering it flat, you don't have much of those markings. Okay, but watch when I turn, I use the ball head and get all those beautiful designs in there. So we'll use this flat. You see it's also starting to curve. So just do just the ends. So I'm just doing this angle. Oh boy, was I ever wonky there. Just light. It's so soft. I can flatten the edges. Joe just came home and Mia's all excited. Daddy went out without me. You straighten it out, but look at the beautiful design. But you can really get some nice patterns. So you can take it this way, especially with this particular wire, the aluminum wire. You can hammer that for the design, and then you can form it. But boy, this is stiff. This is really, really stiff. So work hardening does do a lot. And now you can even do the, the other side as well, especially with a bezel. Like if you're going to put your artwork in here, doing this will give the texture on both sides. But if you're going to be pouring, let's say like a triple thick, or putting a glass cab, which if you're hand making a bezel, you're not going to find any glass cabochons that are sized already. Just pour triple thick in there, triple thick or liquid glass in layers. The final layer, especially with the liquid glass, you can pour a little bit. It'll have a nice dome on it. Easy peasy. I do it with resin because I can do it in one shot. There we go. And my plate's dirty. There we are. So the same process, whether it's copper, brass, whatever. I just don't do this. When you do this with silver plated wire, so let's say you're going to use 14 gauge, let's say artistic wire or something like that, that stuff is coated. It's usually copper on the inside. So when you hammer it, which I particularly like, the copper shows through the silver and you get a rose gold. That's what I like. I like that. So just to let you know that would happen. Anyways, I'm done. Shh. There must be somebody talking to Joe outside. All right. Can't edit that because I was in the middle of talking. Okay, I gotta go shut her up. Anyway, so Allison, hopefully this helped you and anyone else that needs to make a bezel for their artwork. Hopefully this helped you. And if you have any questions, sorry. She's growling. So if any of you have any questions or suggestions or any of your own ways of creating your own bezels, I would love, love, love for you to comment below what you've done. But better yet, go to the description below, click on the link for the community, go into the community that I have, which is not Facebook. And in there you can post the same information, but you can also post pictures of what you've created, because I would love to see what you've created. I'm going to knock her sideways. No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to knock her sideways. It's just a figure of speech. But I would love to see what you've created, and we can all learn from each other, you know, because I like the idea of being able to make my own stuff where I can put my money into the material instead of just buying something that's made someplace else. All right. So anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That way you won't miss out on anything, and don't forget to hit the bell notification. And give me a thumbs up if you found this educational. I think give me a thumbs down if you didn't like the idea of Mia barking, but she's a dog. She's just protecting me. Anyway, so hopefully this helped, and until I see you in the next video, stay inspired.